Yo, this is part two of a video that probably just downloaded about 30, 40 minutes ago. So go watch that one, come back and watch this one, or just watch this one and you'll be all right either way. I don't care, because this video is going to be awesome all by itself. So I was asked a question earlier this week from a young man who said that if I only had one relationship advice to give someone who was looking for a relationship, who was just beginning a relationship, still in the early stages, what is that one piece of advice that I would give them? Before I say that, I want to say what's up, everybody. How you doing? This is your Coach Renz. I want to thank everybody for being here. If you're finding me for the first time on this channel, you're either watching this on the channel, the Alchemy of Sex, Love, and Money, or my Larenzoreid channel. Either way, I'm Coach Renz, and we talk about sex, love, and money, the alchemies, magic, hermetics, and everything else spiritual. We break down traditional religion so that you can get a better understanding of who you are and how you develop into your divine being. So I thank everybody for being here. If you're a member, if you're already a subscriber, thank you. If you're not, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you'll know when you get notifications. Also, become a patron. Go on over, support the Patreon. Go ahead and do it. You'll get discounts for when we have books or any other kind of merchandise, and especially when we start doing seminars in 2019, you'll be able to get discounts, and our private videos are about to start. So go over to the Patreon account on Coach Renz, patreon.com/Coach Renz. So, as I said, this gentleman asked me a question. What's the one advice? If I could only give him one piece of advice, which is very difficult. As you guys know, I can talk a long time. One piece of advice, really? Things are so complex that one piece of advice just really wouldn't work. So I thought about it for like 2 seconds. And I told him, here's the deal. The one piece of advice is a true opening of your heart chakra in a non-judgmental space. In a non-judgmental space. A true opening of your heart chakra, 90-degree turn, and yeah, a little sprinkle in of that third eye opening so that we can have that 90-degree turn as well. So what is the advice? How does this work? What am I talking about? Because, you know, you're just talking about chakras. What is that? So the idea is this. When you first meet someone, usually, two people show up. Two people, one or two people show up, or a combination of two people show up. The first person that usually show up is your representative. It's the best version of yourself. It's the most attentive, most loving, most kind, most communicative person that you can ever possibly. That person shows up, and then after a time, that person goes away. Or the other person, you know, that shows up, from other than the representative, is the fearful person. The person that doesn't really want to show who they really are, doesn't really want to say too much because you don't want to get judged. You don't want them to think negatively of you. You don't want them to have this idea that you're some weirdo, some wacko, or that you're some lunatic. So, you know, you got this person that's kind of reserved. I'm just watching. I'm just taking my time to get to know you. When in truth, you got some things inside you that you are fearful of them ever finding out. So you don't say much about it, and you're just watching. You're the student watching. Well, I say you can't do that. Here's why. First thing is, you have to recognize that why spend 6, 8, 9, 10 months being something you're not, or 9, 6, 10, 8 months hiding something that you are? By the time you get down the road, you've developed emotional feelings for this person, emotional attachments. You've introduced them to family members. You've ingrained them into your life. And now, if 9, 10 months later, you got to separate that, you got to pull that apart. It's not like ripping off Velcro. It's like ripping off duct tape from a sore. So you don't want to experience that. I know, I just have that image in my head. Man, that hurts. Like, if you have a big gaping wound and you put duct tape over and somebody rips that off, you know how painful that is? But that's what it's like. So what I told him is that, here's the thing. You have to first create a non-judgmental environment. It can be done easily by just simply communicating correctly. By simply saying something in the effect of, once, as you begin to talk to one another, you know, I'm just meeting you. There are certain things about me that I want to express to you. Since right now, we do not have a deep emotional attachment, so that you'll have an easy out. You can walk away without feeling any kind of way. But I need you to know everything about me so that you have that option. I would appreciate it if you didn't take a negative outlook. If I tell you that I like dressing up like Spider-Man and singing the Spider-Man song, running through the house, I would appreciate if your facial expression wasn't something of horror. Or that if you characterize it or try to change it, try to ask me, try to determine that I need to be something different and try to shun it or push it down or make derogatory statements about it. If it is something that you do not like and it is a deal breaker, then just simply, I can't be in the house with a man who likes to dress up as Spider-Man, running around the house singing the Spider-Man song. Now, I know I'm using something stupid, but it could be something as simple as a foot fetish. You may have a foot fetish. It could be certain religious and spiritual beliefs. It could be certain ways you believe children should be raised. It could be places that you desire to live for the rest of your life. It could be a work thing, or how you expect to work for the rest of your life. All these things matter, and all these things should be brought out. But the person hearing it should recognize that it is not their place to judge it as far as whether it's right or wrong, but it's only their place to judge it as to whether or not it's something that they want in their life. Get the person to that understanding, because what you need to do right after is truly express who you are. But here's the biggest problem with expressing who you are, and this is how this video is connected to the previous video. Most of us don't really know who we are because we have selective memory of who we are. We have these selective memories of how loving we are, how we communicate, how affectionate we are, how attentive we are, how we spend our money, how we spend our time. There was a point, I was working with a brilliant young man, Michael Fleming, with his knowledge management company. And he had a tool called the day wheel. The day wheel recorded how you spent your time. Some of you guys have heard this before, but the first time I did his day wheel program back in the early 2000s, I did not realize that I was spending up to 8 hours a week mindlessly searching the internet. This is back in like MySpace days. But I was mindlessly searching there, not effectively for business, not effectively for knowledge, but just mindless searching the internet. Kind of like how many of you, and you've seen me do this before, you waste so much time just scrolling on Facebook, scrolling on Instagram. You're watching other people's moments of their life, and you're scrolling, and then you wonder why you haven't had time to accomplish certain work tasks, business tasks. You wonder why you haven't had time to go and work out or go for walks and get in shape. You wonder why you and your spouse's relationship doesn't have great communication. You wonder why you haven't taken the time to have intimacy or date your partner. You wonder why you don't have time, but when you look at it, this scrolling, like I know for me, even right now, I can get into a moment of YouTube and think that, okay, I got 5 minutes, I'm gonna watch this little YouTube video, and the next thing I know, 30, 40 minutes have went by because they got them little raggedy recommendations over there on the side. And next thing, 30 minutes is gone. Now you're running late. Now you don't get to achieve and accomplish everything you was looking to do in that day, and you say, I just don't have time. No, you have time. You have time. You're just wasting it. You just wasted it doing something else that was mindless instead of focusing on the things that are important. Or, as I always say, we always do what is important to us. We will always do what is important to us, no matter how much you argue about it. You can get mad at me in the comments. Matter of fact, get mad at me in the comments and say something negative about that. But you can get mad all you want to. But you do all the time what is important to you. Regardless of how your life is going, you do what's important. If keeping your house a certain way is important, it doesn't matter how tired you are, it doesn't matter how busy you are, it doesn't matter how bad of a day you had, you will ensure that your house is kept a certain way. It doesn't matter what is going on in your life, you will ensure your money is done a certain way if it's that important to you. It doesn't. And if you're not working on your credit, if you're not fixing your credit, you're not building your finances, then it's just not that important to you. But you have to make it. If you want it to be important, you can make it important. But recognizing what is important to you and what is not will tell you who you are. It will tell you who you are. I know people who tell me, "Oh, I love poetry. I'm so into poetry, and poetry is my thing. It's my jam. It's whatever." And I ask them the question, "Well, when's the last time you went to a poetry event?" "Oh, a few months ago." "You sure you love poetry?" "When the last time you read poetry?" "Oh, well, I don't have time." "You sure you love poetry?" "When the last time you wrote some poems?" "Oh, I haven't written it." "You sure you love poetry?" Maybe you just like it every now and then. Maybe you don't love it. You just like it. Because the truth is, where you spend your time, what do you do, that tells me what is really important to you. So by negating these things and coming to an understanding of what is important to you will enable you to express to someone who you truly are, who you really are. I've met people who said that, oh, they love the travel, they love adventure, they like going to places. And then as you're with them, as you're spending time with them, you realize that you didn't travel nowhere. You didn't go anywhere. You didn't go to any places. You didn't go to networking events. You didn't go to the sip and stroke things where you're painting and drinking the wine. You didn't go to none of those things. It's kind of like, for you guys who know that I'm the owner of Uncle Ren's Popcorn, shameless plug, go to urpopcorn.com and buy some popcorn, letter R, urpopcorn.com, get some. But I have people coming up to the counter, "Oh, I'm a popcorn connoisseur. I'm a popcorn connoisseur." But all they ever eat is butter and cheese and caramel. I got 25 flavors. You're not a connoisseur. You just like a couple of flavors. That's like somebody saying that they're a cheese connoisseur, but they only eat cheddar. Now, you got to know about that Gouda and all them other kind of cheeses, them stank cheeses, if you're a true connoisseur. If you're a true connoisseur of wine, you will know about all these different variations of wine and the different aspects of the wine and how to drink the wine. If you're a true connoisseur of cigars, then you'll know about how the leaves are rolled and different plants and all that. You'll know about all these things if you're a true connoisseur of something. But because you like 3 flavors, because you eat butter popcorn every night, you're a connoisseur of popcorn. Maybe you just love butter popcorn. So when it comes to you dealing with somebody in a relationship, I told the young man, you got to really know who you are by negating things that you're not, that you know you're not. You have these images in your mind, and then maybe those images are is who you want to be, but they're not who you desire to be. If you remember in previous videos, I talked about the fact that when you're always wanting something, then that's something that's kind of like in the future, something that's just not it's not something that you truly aspire to be, because it's just a want. And you'll always find yourself in wanting. But when you desire something, then you are moving to make changes to become that. That there is nothing more important than you being that or having that. So whatever you have in your life is what you desired. Whatever you're still aspiring for and you're never getting to is just what you want. Now, your desires can become reality, and some of them you're moving toward them, but every day you're making steps towards those. Your wants, they're still a want. If they were a want in 2018, it was a want in 2017, it was a want in 2016. Unless it's something massive, you're not there. But since we're talking about who you want to be, who you say you want to be, if you truly wanted to be a better dresser, it doesn't take 3-4 years for that to occur. You can buy one shirt, one pair of pants, one dress, a month, a quarter, and you'll achieve that in faster than 3-4 years. If you have a desire to be healthy, it's not going to take you 3-4 years to become healthy. You can achieve that in months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. What you truly desire, you do. That's who you really are, is what you truly desire. So look around you. How do you spend your time? What do you spend your time doing? And what are you making excuses for? The things you make excuses for oftentimes are these ideas that you have of yourself. And when you're in a relationship or starting a relationship, don't give people the ideas that you have of yourself. People should know the true person that you are. That way they can make a fair judgment for themselves. It's fair for them as well as being fair for you. I can't tell you how many times I've met representatives. How many times I've met what people want to be. Or how many times I've met what people fear to tell me. And then only to later discover the true person, or to discover this person in wanting. And if you know me personally, you know I don't have a whole lot of patience. I got about 6 months worth of patience. That's about how much patience I have. Some people, they got about 2 weeks worth of patience. Some people have some long patience, years of patience. But in those people, they usually find themselves in a settled relationship, unhappy, they don't communicate, they're not affectionate, they're not growing, they're not living their best life, they're living a basic, comfortable life. They're not willing to risk the high swing to the right. They're always staying in the middle because they're too afraid of the high swing to the left. And they're comfortable. You don't want to be that. So I told the young man, when you start to truly know yourself, when you negate these things that you know you're not, and then you look at what you desire to be and separate the wants from desires and become who you truly are, and you are with someone, express that completely without fear of judgment. Now here's the other part of that. The other person may still judge you, but if you do it early, then it won't be as devastating to you. There are certain things about me that will send some people running to the hills. That's fine. And it may bother me for about 5 minutes. For about 5 minutes, it'll bother me. It'll be on me. Now, I will tell you, a year ago, 2 years ago, that would have bothered me for weeks, if not months. But I decided I wasn't going to carry the emotional weight of other people. So I changed that aspect about myself because I desire to not be burdened down by other people's emotions. And I'm not even around the person anymore or dealing with the person anymore. So why should I still be carrying their emotions? It allows me to move about my life easier and faster. It allows me to not sit around in a almost state of depression. And for me to enjoy every moment, because you only have right now, you have this moment. So when you're meeting someone, when you're dating someone, when you're married to someone, you need to know exactly who you are. You need to be able to express freely who you are, to be able to move in life as you have desired to be, so that you don't waste a moment, because each moment is too precious to be wasted. I'm not coming back to this existence again. So I need to squeeze out every sweet nectar of juice from this moment that I possibly can. And you should too. But the only way you do that is you have to truly know thyself. The great philosophers of the day have always said, to know thyself is to know God. So to know thyself is to know your inner God, goddess. And when you know your inner God, goddess, then you know the Creator, you know the universe, you know who you really are. You know happiness, you know joy, you know elation, you know how to be. But when you don't, you're just going up and down, just moving side to side, not truly enjoying life, not living your best life, that's for damn sure. So I told that young man, don't worry about the other person's judgment. If you tell them early enough everything of who you truly are, and then act it out, don't just be filled with words, act it out, demonstrate it through your action, because many people have words, but their actions tell the truth. Act it out, consistently act it out. As many of you guys know, I believe in chivalry. I will not open your door today, and in 10 years later, I'm not opening your door. I've been opening doors for as far back as I can remember, from my mama to my sister, my daughters and wives and girlfriends and whatever else, and old people I just see walking in and out of the door. I've been opening doors. I'm going to carry the bags. I'm going to do all. That's just who I am. Be consistent. You can't do something once a month and say that's who you are. You can't do something every other month and say that's who you are. What you do on a consistent basis is who you are. So you have to be consistent. So commit yourself to the actions that your words speak. Commit yourself consistently to it. Demonstrate that all the time who you actually are. And then let the person determine whether or not that's what they can have in their life. If you can determine that, the earlier you can get that taken care of, the better. Now, if you do have a desire to change something, start changing it. Start moving in a certain way to change it. You have to do it on purpose. If you have a desire to communicate better, then you have to do it with intention. You have, even if you got to remind yourself, put it on your calendar, put time frames on there. You know, I'm gonna call her at 3 o'clock today. Then I'm gonna text her at 8 o'clock. Then I'm gonna whatever. If you have to do that, and I know you may say, well, I don't want to do all that. I want it to just flow and be natural. Look, you have the ability to reason your way out of things and emotionalize your way out of things. So you have to be intentional when you have a desire to change something, the desire to be a certain way. So if you got to set reminders, calendar days, if you got to do whatever you have to do, if you got to stretch, if you got to take some vitamins, whatever you got to do to make it real, then do it to make it real. Do it. Be intentional about it. So if you want to be a better communicator, then set alarms. I had like a week that on the doubles, I know a lot of people yesterday was doing the 11-11 meditations. I took a week when I wanted to change certain aspects about myself, and on the doubles, 11, 111, 1111, 222, 555, 444, you know, if there was a possibility of a doubles, then I was doing it. I would stop at that moment and I would do it was a meditation and incantation I was doing each time, and I did it for a week. And I had to set the intention every time. I set my alarm to go off each time, and each time it went off, I set the intention. And I did that for a week in order for me to start changing from a want to a desire, changing a certain aspect of about myself that kept leaving me in a lurch. If that's what you wanted, that's what you have to do. You have to be intentional on who you desire to be and start making those steps. Eventually, it becomes natural. Just like if you were on my Patreon, you've seen some of the videos where we talk about outwitting the devil. Habits are created by intention, and then after a while, nature makes those intentions into permanent habit. So if you want to be more loving, then set the intentions, set the criteria to ensure that it happens. As it happens, nature then makes it permanent to where you don't have to set the alarms or reminders and all those kind of things, because after a time frame, it's different for each person, after a time frame, it becomes the natural thing of who you are because you've made a change. And everything in your life is habits that you've developed since birth, that somebody has put you into a habit, and it became who you are. And you just think, that's just who I am. No, it became an intentional habit. It was an intentional habit that developed into who you are. And you can still do that today if you choose. So, in conclusion, know who you are. Determine and decide who you are. Determine and decide who you desire to be. Become it by setting intentional habits and developing it over time. And when you meet someone, express who you truly are. And don't be afraid of their judgment. Don't be afraid of their judgment. If you like sucking on your thumb, tell them you like sucking on your thumb. Don't let them discover this 5-6 months later, and then it becomes a massive issue, but they got to emotionalize themselves into the acceptance of it or rationalize themselves into the acceptance of it. It should be something that they should have an opportunity to say yay or nay from the beginning, as well as you should have that opportunity towards them as well. So that, of course, was the version that I really wish I could have told that young man, but I only had about 5 minutes. So y'all have a great day. Remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.